Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to Living Water Counseling Center. I am Sharonda Engram, and today I am excited about what I will be sharing with you. And if you like what is shared in this video, please click the subscribe button to receive weekly updates. Click the like button, and if what I'm sharing with you you think is helpful to you and would be good for someone as well, please share it with others. So here, let's get started in what we will be talking about today. In the last videos, we talked about self-discovery and self-exploration, and I gave good tools in there to help you to begin to discover who you are, what you're thinking, what you're doing with your thoughts. Do you recognize your emotions? And then do you recognize what you're doing with that emotion? Well, today we are going to talk about communication skills. What is healthy and effective communication skills? Everyone needs this in relationship. It doesn't matter if you're doing a business relationship, husband and wife relationship, friendship, parental relationships. You need to have effective communication skills. So when folks come in to me, this is seen to be one of the major problems that I'm seeing in couples and individuals, how to effectively communicate. And when we're thinking of communication, sometimes people just limit it to, well, what am I saying? What are you saying? Well, communication is not just what we say with our mouths. It is clearly what our body language is saying when we're communicating. And that speaks more so than what we say verbally. You know, if someone walks in the room and before they speak, we have already gotten like their communication pattern, like pretty much we can see what how they may think about themselves, the way that they're dressed, how their posture is, how they're carrying themselves. It communicates something over to us. So what a person does say verbally and what they don't say verbally, it sends a message over to us. So here I would like to just give some helpful tools in this video on how to have effective communication skills. So the first part of communicating well is hearing and listening. When you're sitting down and you are in communication with someone, what are you hearing? What are you listening to? What do you get? How are you responding back to that person? So that is a big factor in communication skills, and developing your skills is first hearing and listening well and interpreting well what that person is saying. And that is where I see a breakdown in communication, where someone can hear what someone has said, but they misinterpret it. And when you misinterpret it, you will respond back awkwardly or differently or not properly to what that person has said. And when that happens, the person who may be talking or giving an instruction or relaying some information over may feel that they are not being understood because the person responded back to them in a different manner. So to begin the effective steps in communicating, we want to hear and listen well. And if you believe that you did not get something well in your hearing and listening, we want to follow up with clarifying. You can always ask someone, okay, I heard you say this, and this is what it means to me. Is that what you're saying? That is how you would clarify with the person of trying to find out what is it that they're really relaying over, versus getting into a situation where you hear someone say something and you interpret it one way and you respond back not in the proper manner, and then the person's feeling misunderstood, and then they walk away with an assumption, assuming things. And when we get caught up in assumptions, it can lead us down the wrong path. So to just disregard and clear out and throw away assumptions, we want to get into, if we are relaying something over to someone, and for the person who's hearing it, if they're not understanding, do not assume. Do not get an assumption. Follow up with clarifying. And the way you can clarify is that you can repeat what was said and then state what you got from it. So you can clearly say, I heard you say this, and to me, this is what that means. Is that what you're saying to me? And then you now give the person the opportunity to follow up to clarify what they meant, just in case they were not meaning what you took from what was said. Another thing we want to look at when we are communicating is responding properly. You know, we can hear something wrong or we can hear things right, but how are we responding to it? Even in my own relationship, I know, one, I have to sometime with my husband clarify things, because I know that he will hear something and he will hear it differently from what I said. So I need to put in some type of disclosure or follow up with him to clarify, this is what I meant when I said whatever it was that I said. And I want to make sure that I'm responding properly to what he is saying. So it is important. Our response is everything when we are communicating. No one wants to say, you hurt me, and they're communicating over to you that they have been hurt by something you've said or done, and you turn around and say, okay, I don't get how I hurt you. You said in such a way that you're not looking to inquire, well, how did I hurt you? That was not my intent. Or no one wants to come and say, you know, I would like to talk to you about something that you may have done, or something they would like to do that is exciting, and you're ignoring them. That's what they're getting from you. Your response is everything. So if you are looking to be a good friend, a good mother, a good whatever you are in a relationship that you're in, your response means everything. And not only your response, but even when you communicate, how someone responding back to you, that means everything. So it is important for people to respond properly, to hear what you're saying clearly, to know what you're saying clearly, and to give the proper response in communicating back. There's nothing more disheartening or sad, and I'll use a kid for example. I will just share this, because I'm not sure where this video will go out to. And I know here in Florida, at many of our malls, we have little playgrounds for children that they can go inside the mall while their parents are shopping, or when parents get tired, they can go out to the little play area and allow their kids to go play on the apparatuses that are out in the mall, and the parents will sit around on the benches. And so what ends up happening, and if you are ever out at the mall during this time after you see this video, you will witness this for yourself. But if you're ever out there, you'll see children are out and they're playing, and their parents are sitting around on the bench, and they may be talking to other people or just observing their kids. And what happens is their kids are out playing, and then the kids will eventually at some point run back into their parents. And when they run back to their parents, they're looking for their parents to they're looking to be filled up some type of way. They're either looking for their parents to hug them, to give them a kiss, to give them a snack, to talk to them. They want their parents to recognize something that they have done while they were playing. And so what the parents do, normally this is what I've witnessed, and I've been a part of this myself when I've taken my kids out to play as well. What the parents will do is respond appropriately to their kids by either listening into what their kids are saying, giving them that snack that they would like, or giving them a hug or kiss. And when the child is filled up because the parent has responded properly, the child will run back out and play again. But they don't do that just once. They do that continuously a number of times while they're out playing. So even for adults, when an adult or even a teenager comes and they speak to a parent or a friend about something that is near and dear to their heart, our response is everything. Are we present in the moment with the person when they're talking about whatever it is that they're talking about? And are we responding back properly? Or are we focused on, our day, what we're going to cook, what we're going to do, or what happened at work, that the person is sharing so much information that you have just checked out. And when you respond back, it's short, and it doesn't line up with what the person has said. Now the person is sitting on the other side wondering, are you hearing me? Are you understanding me? Are you connecting into me? And that's another step in communication skills, connecting in. And what is connecting in? It means that I can be present with the person. I can show compassion. I can show empathy. I can be vulnerable with the person. I can be relatable with the person. Now, when I bring up these things of being compassionate, of being vulnerable, being relatable, some people are like, okay, vulnerability, what's that? what do you do? And for some people, they may know what that is. But let me just explain vulnerability. And I just know this is hard for many people to do in relationship. And it doesn't matter what relationship that is in. It's just when you are just communicating with people, sometimes it is hard for people to be vulnerable with other people, really stating what's really going on with them. And I can give an example. Such as, okay, so let's say, for instance, that here's a husband and wife. A wife decides that she doesn't want to watch TV in the living room with her husband anymore. And the husband is trying to figure out, why you're not watching. In his mind, he's thinking, how come you're not watching TV anymore in the living room? That's what he's thinking to himself. So when he approached his wife about her not watching TV in the living room with him anymore, instead of him, he could come, let me just say this. He could come and say to her, why you're not watching TV in the living room anymore. And she would just, she can give her response of why she's not watching TV in the living room anymore. But the real deal is, is he having a problem with her not watching TV in the living room? Or is there something that he's missing and he's not directly stating that? He's not tapping in or being able to be vulnerable with what the real deal is. So instead of him coming across in a manner of saying, why are you not watching TV in the living room anymore? Is that a problem that she's not watching TV in the living room? Because I wouldn't see a problem with that if she chose to watch TV somewhere else. But to me, it seems to be a greater deal that he's saying something about it. So then when I tap into what is that bigger deal, he missed watching TV with her, and he wants to spend some time with her, and he enjoyed watching TV with her. So then my deal would be, how come you will not let your wife know you miss watching TV with her? You enjoy watching TV with her. Is that hard to say? That's when that vulnerability comes in. When you can say what you are really longing for. Saying, I miss spending time with you. I love watching TV with you. And so could we watch TV together again? That's being vulnerable. But then when you are approaching it in an attacking manner, why are you watching TV? Why are you no longer watching TV in the living room anymore? That doesn't come across as I missed you. That doesn't come across as I want to spend time with you. So being vulnerable cause you to just let whatever's going on, let your anger or whatever's going on down on the inside of you, and coming forth and showing your heart of what you really miss with that person. If you miss spending time with that person, I enjoy spending time with my husband. So when I want to spend time with him, I let him know I would like to spend time with you. So for many couples, that's a hard thing for them to say. It's hard for them to say they enjoy spending time with their mate to their mate. It's hard for them to say, I'm sad about something, or I'm having a struggle with whatever they may be having a struggle with. So sometimes people like to portray whatever they're wanting to portray strong. They want to be strong in front of their spouse. They don't want their spouse to see them in a particular manner. Hey, if you cannot be real with your spouse, who are you going to be real with? If you have a best friend and you can't be real with your best friend, who are you going to be real with? How can someone really comfort you and get to know you if you are not open up to express what's really going on with you? And see, that's where here in communication, another key ingredient is being able to openly express what's going on with you without someone trying to be in control, manipulate you, disconnect from you, because you're open up about who you are and what you enjoy, that someone can respect you of what you're sharing. And that's a key ingredient in effective communication. Being respectful, allowing a person to be their own person. That is a very key thing. Many people struggle with allowing people to be who they are in communication. They are trying to change them and make them say things they would say, they would do. That's being in control of someone. You're trying to control. You're trying to manipulate. That's not healthy communication skills. Healthy communication skills, a key ingredient in communicating effectively, is definitely being able to express yourself openly and honestly. And the other person on the other side will respect what you're saying and care for you where you are. So some key things that I've gone over thus far is one, hearing and listening. And if anything gets clouded in that hearing and listening, we want to clarify. We want to follow up with clarifying, saying, I heard you say this, and this is what it means to me. Is that what you're saying? Clarify. Then you want to follow up with responding properly. It's important that you respond properly to what you hear, making sure that you are present. Another key ingredient, present with the person in the moment. Connecting in, being able to be right there with that person in the moment that they are sharing whatever it is that they're sharing with you. Another key ingredient, what is your body language saying when someone is communicating with you? Are you saying you're interested? Are you saying you are disconnected? Are you saying that you're present? What are you saying? Are you saying that you are engaged? This is something to pay attention to when you are communicating. What are your facial expressions saying? I am a person who have been told several times, your facial expressions tell on you. Yep, they do. I gotta say, I'm going to be honest. If I don't like something, my facial expression is going to say it. I try to follow up to the best of my ability to say what I'm connected in from my facial expressions. I've tried my best to follow up with what I'm actually feeling where I'm not disconnected. I also want to say being respectful. Being respectful is another key. So in my last point of making sure that you're being respectful in your relationship and communicating well, being respectful, respecting other people's, their opinions, giving them the opportunity to express freely, even with children. Parents, it is important that you hear your children, being open to hear them, to be present with them. Yes, they are little people, but you want to make sure you are being heard. I have had my sons come back and they have shared with me certain family members that they believe are not hearing them. So kids pay attention to who's listening to them. So we are teaching our kids, once again, as someone taught you how to communicate, be it effective or unhealthy, not effective, pay attention to how you are communicating over, be it from the littlest person to an adult. Everyone is deserving of respectful communication and effective communication. And as I was segueing into going from being respectful to talking about empathy. This is another key word, empathy. People learning how to be empathetic, how to really get in the shoes of someone else. Listen, we all have not gone through, many of us may have not gone through some of the same exact situations, but I tell you, we all can get on the level to be able to be relatable of knowing what sadness feels like, what disappointment feels like, what hurt feels like, what anger feels like. We all have different situations, and what we can do when someone is hurting, when someone is excited, when someone is happy, we can get on the level to be with that person in the moment. And you know what? When we get with people to be with them in the moment, whatever they're going through, we don't always have to give a comment or a statement or say anything. Sometimes it just calls for us to be present and be quiet and just to be there with that person in the moment to provide comfort. So communicating effectively and empathy is being able to be present with that person in the moment, being with them in the moment of whatever they're going through and whatever they need you for at the moment. And that's something that you can find out when someone comes to talk to you about something that's heavy or something that's light. Do they need for you to be a listener? Do they want you to participate and give them advice? What is it that they need so you can be able to comfort them where they are needing help? Another, as I touched early on, vulnerability, being able to share what your heart really desires for a person versus coming across as you are attacking them like they're doing something wrong, when simply if you really want to spend time with someone, just tell them you want to spend time with them. If you miss them, tell them you miss them versus saying, why do you have to go spend so much time with your friends? Why do you have to be on the phone with him? Or why do you have to be on the phone with her? You know, just say if you miss them, tell them you miss them. You will get a better response if you say what's really on your heart. And sometimes it's hard for people to tap into that because they haven't been taught that. Another thing is giving people the ability to choose while they're in communication. Let people choose. Give them the ability to have a choice versus trying to have control. It's better to communicate effectively of having choice, allowing someone to choose versus control, trying to control. Open up to be forgiving in communicating, knowing how to forgive. And that will be a whole nother video where I talk about forgiveness and the process of how to authentically forgive, because many people do not know how to do that, especially believers. We are commanded to forgive. It's what God has told us to do. He didn't give us, it's not an option. He didn't ask us, would we like to forgive? That is a command for us to give. And when we forgive, it's a process of how to make sure we're forgiving properly versus just saying, I forgive a person because they lied to me or they hurt me. They just didn't lie to you or hurt you. There was a real impact. There were real emotions that got involved. So we have to learn how to authentically release those negative emotions that were, whatever that was that caused the hurt, to be able to forgive them for that so you can authentically forgive. So when you're in communication with someone, to learn how to authentically forgive if they come and ask for forgiveness or sharing whatever there is that they're sharing, and forgiveness is in place to be received at the time. And here, I'm going to say this is so important in communicating. All of these keys are important, but when we are communicating, and I think this is just the one main ingredient of all. Everyone, when they're communicating, they want to walk away knowing that they have been understood. People want to make sure they want to be understood. No one wants to communicate anything and walk away and feel like they have been misunderstood. Everyone wants to know in their communication process, did you get me? Did I get you? So this is very important, that when someone is communicating with you or you're communicating with them, to see if, did they get me? Did I understand them? Did they understand me? And you will be able to notice that if you are understood by all the key ingredients that I gave here. If you're understood by the way they respected you, if they were present, if they connected in, did they respond properly to you, will let you know you have been either understood or misunderstood. So let me just say here, I enjoy what I do, and I'm enjoying giving these helpful tips. And listen, if you believe that these communication skills, these ingredients that I gave today are helpful tools, listen, put them at work. Don't take these tools that I just said and just listen to them and be like, oh, okay. Put them at work. Use them, apply them, and see how effective they will be for you and how effective they will be for your relationships. And listen, if you have any further questions, like I said, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, like it, share it. And if you would like to call in for further instructions or guidance, my contact number is 1-844-288-4393. Once again, our contact number is 1-844-288-4393. You could also reach us at lwcc.life. And we are also on Facebook. You're more than welcome. So thank you once again for tuning in to Living Word Counseling Center, where we are giving helpful tools and tips on relationship building and becoming a better you. And one last thing before I go, because I forgot. Now, here's a book that I recommend that is very helpful in communication skills. It is called His Needs, Her Needs. This book is good for married couples. It gives so many good stories and talk about good communication skills, even in this book. It is very helpful, very resourceful. It is by Willard F. Harley Jr. You can find this book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, I'm sure. It is a very good resource to help in communication skills, where you and your spouse can sit down, you can read the story, someone can find themselves in this book somewhere. And so this is a helpful book where you can read stories about other people and you can see the response response that happen. You know, when there are poor communication skills, this is how marriages break down and other relationships as well. And so here we want to build up effective and healthy communication skills where people are being understood, relationships are being built up, and there's a real connection and bond that occurs. So here, what I would encourage you to do, I would encourage you to check out that resource. If you believe that this video is helpful to you, check out the His Needs, Her Needs. That's a good book to start with for couples. And once again, attend to those key ingredients that I gave today. And I thank you once again for tuning in to Living Water Counseling Center. And I look forward for you to tune in for our next weekly update. You have a great day.